Let's see if we can get one more to join. Okay, there it is. Gary, you get to get started.
Let's do it.
Cool. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Uranium release webinar. We're thrilled to have you here today as we unveil some of Youreka's latest innovations. My name is Jasmine Sanchez. I am the Senior Product Manager here at Youreka, and with me, I'm joined by Gary Stom, or Gary Stein for today, and he's the Director of Solution Engineering. And we have some exciting things to share with everyone. So just a quick look at the agenda. We'll have a detailed look at the new Template Copilot feature and its game-changing AI-powered automation. And then we'll run through a breakdown of the advanced PDF generation tool, which I'll refer to as APG at times, and how it can automate and enhance your document workflows. And then Gary will run through demos of these features, and then we'll end it with a Q&A. Awesome. Well, Gary Stein, on to you.
Beautiful. Well, Jasmine, I'd like to kick things off and offer you, would you like a trick or a treat here?
A treat.
Well, let's start with that treat then. I appreciate everybody dealing with my Halloween themed costume here as well. But we're super excited to introduce Youreka Copilot. What I'm doing here is handing off a PDF to Youreka Copilot. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see a split screen. Left-hand side lets us see the PDF that I'm starting with. And what we're doing, we're handing that off to Copilot. It's going to scan through and identify all of the value that we've created in our current paper and pencil process today, and then digitize that process inside of Youreka's data model in Salesforce. So it's going to identify our title here, our date of completion, technician name, inspection type, but not only identify those questions, but it's also going to potentially structure the answer values that you might have for each of them. So we should see initial, follow-up, reconciliation for that question type. And then I'll also scan through and identify each and all of our sections. So we should have a section for entrances and exits, walkways, floors, stairs, etc. And then place all of those questions in the appropriate sections, as well as structuring each of those questions with the appropriate potential values. Should scan through the remainder of our document, retrieve all of those appropriate questions, push those in as well. And then even our closeout section should identify, we have large text areas for our closeout final comments, and then our signature with an e-signature question type. And what you've seen so far is this in action on the right-hand side. It's created that form template for me, and it really only takes about a minute or less, depending upon how large that form template is that we're handing off. But just like we had mentioned, you're seeing our top section here, and I'll try to go side by side so you can compare each of them. But our data completion technician name, inspection type, that's all been created as structured questions. Our subject, data completion technician name, inspection type. You can see it's even identified those potential values. What I love about this is a lot of times customers will start to think of the implementation process with Youreka, and we're usually not talking about one template. We're oftentimes talking about 10, 20, 30, 40 templates. Goal here, of course, is to create a great accelerant to get you from that 0 to 90% very quickly and easily in a minute or less in that facet. But here's our entrances and exits section, our walkways, floors, stairs. We can see all of those different questions, and then all of those different pick list values that we had seen, the yes, no's, and NAs that we saw structured in the PDF. Down below with our closeout, even our e-signature question slated there at the bottom. And then, of course, gets us that 0 to 90%. We can go in here and polish it up with any logic that we'd like to incorporate, clone any additional questions, grab managed groups of sections of templates that you questions that you might be using to polish it up and then put it in the hands of our end users quickly and easily. But I also wanted to show one additional piece. So hopefully that was a nice treat. But Jasmine, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bonus here and give you a trick as well. So in addition to just handing off a PDF, there's also a prompt. So you can really develop these form templates through a prompt. If you have existing PDFs that are out there in the ether, you can ask it to retrieve those, and it'll start to scour those PDFs and then create form templates from. But it can also do some translation. So this is one of my favorite use cases. You could potentially hand off this PDF and tell it to translate. I asked it to create an auto template for me and do that for me in Spanish. While my Spanish is not exactly up to par, We should see this here output in just a second. You'll see, of course, it's going to take a form template with an auto inspection, and then, of course, output everything in Spanish for us. There you, of course, we can see our title here, our auto checklist of verification, and of course, all different types of questions that may be appropriate, including photo questions for vehicles, as we're inspecting all of that information. That's everything for the Copilot piece. Jasmine, I'll hand it back off to you.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you. Like Gary Stein showed, Template Copilot's full of treats for everyone, and there's a few tricks you can add in, like translations. So thanks for running through that, Gary. Just to go through all the aspects that Gary ran through, Template Copilot is an AI-powered tool designed to help you rapidly generate form template with minimal effort. Like the demo showed, whether you're working from a simple text input asking Template Copilot to translate something, or an example PDF, Copilot leverages AI to automate and accelerate template creation. So this allows you to significantly cut down on onboarding time and costs while providing a no-code experience for your teams. So the primary goal here is to scale template production with ease. You can quickly create customizable templates without diving into complex code. It's a huge boost to productivity, especially when you're trying to roll out multiple forms across different departments or teams. Next slide. So for our customers, fast prototyping allows you to spin up form templates for your specific use cases quickly. So this is especially useful for Salesforce teams or digital transformation teams who need to demo and showcase the tools and capabilities their organization is adopting. So you can now demonstrate the potential of Youreka in driving digital transformation within your company. So you're easily able to showcase your form templates to other departments. For our partners and system integrators, Template Copilot allows you to showcase Youreka's potential to customers much more quickly. So you can rapidly prototype a form, give the customer a clear understanding of how Youreka fits into their existing workflows, which not only speeds up the sales cycle, but also increases your customer's time to value. So to wrap all of this up, whether you're a prospect, customer, or partner, Template Copilot helps you accelerate time to value and fast track ROI by allowing you to experiment, refine, and deploy form templates faster than ever before. So this feature drastically reduces the friction in the form development process, whether you're building from scratch or modifying existing forms. On to APG.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine. Really appreciate that. For this demonstration, I would be remiss if I didn't show a little bit of our mobile application. So what I've got up on screen now is Youreka on mobile. I'm demonstrating from an iOS device, but we have customers using iOS, Android, and Windows devices. So bring your own device to create these smart forms, fill out these checklists, and do so in the most remote locations. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through this asset inspection. It'll be very spooky. We'll take some spooky photos here to be on brand with Halloween. And then I've got a 3-page experience. We'll capture some data real quick. And I just want to go through a couple of the bells and whistles so that everybody has an opportunity to see Youreka on mobile. And then we'll go back into Salesforce. As we complete this form, it is going to then trigger a document to be generated. So it's going to generate a PDF automatically for me in the background. So you'll see a ton of different types of structured questions. You can have large text areas. You can use voice to text to transcribe any of that information. E-signature to ensure that the team is safe. We can also pull in photos and files from prior engagements. So if you want to show photos from an inspection last week and be able to compare that to provide context to let us know exactly the type of work that needs to be rendered, we certainly can do so. We can provide powerful context in the form as well, to let you know what good looks like versus something that needs to be improved. And this panel needs to be removed before we do the next step to make sure that we're safely going through our procedure. Here, as I answer a question, it asks me to take a photo. So we're going to capture a spooky photo here of our asset, and then we'll walk through the rest of our checklist. This is one of our newer features, which is asset sketching. You can pre-bake forms with PDFs, images and assets, and then be able to drop in icons and mark them up as needed. Of course, we certainly support barcode scanning, QR scanning, etc. And then all sorts of calculated fields are certainly supported here. So if you ever want to see, as we're doing instrumentation ratings, we can do calculations to let you know that this is a good range or this is outside of the acceptable range. And of course, that's all going to take place in that offline state. For those of you that are using Excel spreadsheets, our advanced data collection allows you to build tables directly into the experience as well. So you can have complex forms with lots of questions in a very condensed space. And then as we wrap things up here on the final page, if you ever need to take inventory, products consumed, or you want to request new products to make sure that we have the appropriate items in the van for our next visit, think of related lists. You can capture work order line items, case line items, or even quote line items if you're building quotes out in the field and sum that data all up together to be able to close that deal out in the field as necessary. So we'll submit this form and I'll transition back into Salesforce. And here is an example of a completed form. And you can see all that rich data that lives directly inside of Salesforce with all the imagery that we had captured. That all lives in Salesforce. And then, of course, that can trigger our advanced PDF generation. So on the right-hand side here, I've got a brand new tab, and it shows me all of the PDFs that may or may not have been generated. But this is the new feature that we're rolling out, which is our advanced PDF generation. So for those of you that want a similar look and feel, as you're authoring that form one time and you'd like a leave behind for your customers, this is a great way to take all of that rich data captured in form and output it to a PDF, including all of that content, any colors that may have been included inside of the content, as well as any of those table sections, multi-column experiences. That all certainly is supported as well. And the best part is this could be triggered automatically based on a status or an approval process or a checkbox simply in Salesforce. So your users can submit these forms, and then in the background, it will automatically trigger, generate that PDF attached to the record. You can distribute however you see fit. Now that was a complex PDF. I also wanted to show a real simple PDF. This, for example, is a safety checklist. It's a very simple one-pager. That similar outputted PDF document here on the right-hand side yields that same single-page PDF. One of the big things that we had heard from customers is that we want to save a lot of that white space, condense all of that down, get that great rich data into the one pager so we don't have to sift through multi-page experiences. We've heard you and made sure that we had incorporated that into this most recent feature. And then in terms, I also wanted to show one last bit, which is the admin side of things. And so generating these types of PDFs is super simple as well. Here's a flow that I've got triggered, and this is queuing on a form being submitted, and it's immediately requesting the document. So I've got two simple actions. For those of you that are familiar with Flow, this first action is simply requesting the PDF. So it's checking a box saying this is the PDF that we'd like generated. And then we are simply calling our Apex action. So no code writing necessary. This is pre-built in the package. You simply can point and click in a flow and tell us that we want to generate that document. We just simply have to check that box when it's appropriate for you, and then call the action to generate that PDF, and it'll attach it right to your form record. Go right back to our slide deck, and I'll hand it back off to you, Jasmine. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. I was really enjoying that spooky cat. So thanks for adding that. I'm going to echo a lot of what Gary said, but this feature is a huge step forward for automating the creation of professionally formatted branded PDFs. Like Gary said, there was a lot of pains with the basic PDF generation feature with a lot of white space. So you can see it's much more professional and concise. APG also allows you to generate documents based on customizable business triggers or flows, meaning you can automate the process based on specific conditions, saving time and effort. So again, with APG, you don't have to administer a PDF template, a PDF manually. The system will automatically generate a branded PDF that's stored securely within Salesforce's environment. So this eliminates the manual intervention, reducing errors, and ensures that your document always follows consistent formatting. So why does all this matter? So for teams handling a large volume of forms, reports, or contracts, this tool helps reduce manual workload and streamlines workflows. So the ability to automatically generate and format PDFs from Salesforce data ensures you're always delivering professional and well-structured documents to customers or internal teams. Lastly, I do want to mention that security is, of course, a priority. So PDFs are securely stored in Salesforce after its generation. Next slide. Awesome. So I think just to wrap things up quickly, we're extremely excited about the possibilities these new features unlock for you. So again, with Template Copilot, it gives you the power to build and deploy form templates faster than ever, while advanced PDF generation helps you automate document creation without sacrificing quality or security. So feel free to ask questions now if you want to know anything more about the features or use cases or how these can benefit your teams, please let us know. And thank you all for joining.
Gary, do you want to just answer the question like, right now so a broader audience can also be able to hear your thoughts?
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Valerie. So Craig asked a question in our Q&A. He was interested in the advanced PDF generation. The question is around, do we have the ability to format the PDF that had been created? And the answer is yes, that's done inside of the form template builder. So the nice piece about this feature is that you can author a form template one time in our form template builder. That authored form template is the same type of experience, obviously, that you'd have on mobile device or filling out that form, whether it be desktop, mobile, or through a community experience. And then that form, as it's completed, is then yielded in the output of the PDF. So if you want to change the logo, things like that, or if you want to hide and show content, or if you want to change the font size of that content that's being delivered, those are some of the things that we can do inside of the advanced PDF generation, which is inside of the form template builder. So author it once and that outputted PDF is what you receive. Looks like we've got a couple of additional questions.
I can answer one of Fiona. So Fiona was asking if the PDF can be branded and the Youreka icon removed. Yes, it can. So the Youreka icon's just default, but you're able to actually define your own custom logo if you wanted. You can remove the Youreka logo. You can also add a custom header and footer.
And then Fiona has some additional questions. Some examples around the multi-column. One thing that you will want to keep top of mind is table sections inside of a form. You can have many columns and many rows. I think it's 20 some columns and up to 40 rows if memory serves. But we can give you those exact details. We'll have to keep in mind that the width of a PDF is a standard portrait style PDF. So we'll have to keep in mind the number of columns and the size of the text that you have in the headers of each of those columns. It may start to write vertically depending upon how long the text is. So we certainly would recommend testing this out, test it out in your sandbox environment and see exactly what that output looks like before, of course, going live in production. And we're happy to provide those additional details. And Fiona, you had also asked about pricing. We're happy to talk through pricing on that call as well.
Looks like Craig asked a follow-up question. So we can't choose particular fields that show on the PDF. No, so how I would think about advanced PDFs is if the question and answer were shown on the form, that's what you'll see in the PDF. There may be like custom CSS you can use to hide elements, but otherwise that's how that's what the output would look like for the PDF.
And it's going to respect the show and hide logic that you build in the form template. Excuse me. So in the event that there is content that you don't want to be outputted into the PDF, you have control over that. So as you're wrapping up that form, last couple of questions could hide or show any data that you wanted to be outputted in that PDF.
We also have a question from my anonymous attendee, if you guys want to take a stab on that.
Yeah, I think we've got a slide prepared for that as well. So anonymous attendee asked for PDFs that are generated. Are they generated on the Salesforce platform? And they are not. So what we are using here is AWS. So happy to talk about any of the security and architecture in terms of what that looks like to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it. But what we're doing is triggering a Salesforce record, handing that data off to AWS, fully encrypted. And then, of course, that data is outputted into a PDF. It's delivered back into your Salesforce environment. And all of that data that was sent in transit is purged. So nothing is persisted, nothing is written to disk, and so on and so forth. But we're certainly doing this to be able to up the ante and deliver a more quality PDF. Jasmine, anything that I missed there or anything else that you'd recommend in that response?
Nope, I think you've touched it.
And then Fiona's last question about trying it before purchase. Absolutely. We'll take stock. Fiona, it sounds like we've got a couple follow-up items for you. But yes, we can get you the latest package, test it out, and make sure that it's going to meet your needs before having to move forward. Jasmine, Valerie, any questions that we've missed here before we start to wrap things up?
Let me check. And Fiona, I'm following up with the customer success team currently, so we will be in touch ASAP.
I think we touched on all the questions that's in the Q&A. And if you have additional one, feel free to ask.
Okay, we just got one. Oh, good question. So from Hal, question about the PDF generation service. Once a form gets delivered, I'm assuming you're saying once a PDF gets delivered to our Salesforce instance, does Youreka retain the form? I guess, Hal, are you asking about the PDF?
I think he's asking about.
Yes, he said yes.
Yeah, I think he's asking about, it's leaving Salesforce instance, assembling PDF and then pushing back into Salesforce. And we are not retaining any of that data. We are not, all that data is purged and destroyed to make sure from a secure perspective, none of your data is being retained by any point. It's not persisting or writing to disk.
It's a really good question. Yeah. Cool. No problem, Hal.
Really appreciate the engagement here towards the end as well. So hopefully if there's any additional questions, we're going to wrap things up here. Don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to dig in deeper, trial any of these, answer any questions, provide you with security documentation and so on and so forth. But really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you so much.
Oh, just real quick, actually, in the chat, I will link our knowledge articles from this release, so the Uranium release notes, plus the corresponding knowledge articles. So before you hop out.
Also, if you guys wanted to get more information, want to share this information to your coworkers who are other organization, feel free. We will be sending out links of this webinar on a YouTube channel. And on top of that, we also have a landing page dedicated towards the Uranium releases. So feel free to share all of this information with whoever you think that will benefit from this release.
Thanks, Valerie. Let me drop the one last. Awesome. All the articles are in the webinar chat. Well, everyone, thank you again so much for attending and getting excited around the Uranium release. We're really excited and proud of the work done here, and we just want to let everyone know that these features can totally change your current experience. They integrate with your current business workflow. So I would just, nothing stopping you. So reach out to us if you have any questions after the webinar concludes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.